A new class of Army Rangers is celebrating graduation today, and for the first time, 2 women are among the ranks. Their instructors say the women are tougher than some of the men they trained with. Earlier, we spoke to David Martin about this historic day.
Well, the Army calls it the most difficult school in the Army. It lasts 62 days. You get almost no sleep, almost no food. And you are constantly on the march carrying heavy loads, weapons, all your water. And over the course of that period, it just wears people down. And although the course is 62 days long, most of those students have been there much longer than 62 days because you frequently fail a phase and have to go back and repeat it. So in fact, Kristen Grice, she completed the 62-day course, but she was there for 123 days, going through all of it, some over and over again, before she finally reached the end. This is an extraordinarily grueling course in which the men frequently lose 20 to 30 pounds.
And remind us again, David, of the context of this. You know, even though they will be getting their tab here that they've received, that in reality, when you look at what it is that women are allowed to do, there are restrictions, right?
There are restrictions now, but this is, I think, almost unquestionably the beginning of the end of the last standing restrictions. Right now, throughout all of the armed services, there are 220,000 jobs that are still off limits to women, and almost all of them are ground combat units, that's infantry and tanks, and special forces units like the Green Berets, like the Navy SEALs. But all of those barriers are coming down. The graduation of these 2 women it's like the breaking of the 4-minute mile. Once somebody does it, people are going to come after them and take it even lower. And I think by this time next year, you will see women being able to try out for the most macho of all military units, the Navy SEALs. There's no question this is the beginning of a revolution.
How is the notion of that, though, David, being received, not just at the leadership level, but also among the ranks there?
Well, of course, it's hard to find guys in the ranks who are going to speak out publicly against what is clearly the policy of the Army. But the leader of this whole exercise of putting women through Ranger training is a general named Major General Scott Miller, who is himself a former commander of the Delta Force. And he gave a speech at this ceremony in which he made reference to all of the social media comments that are popping up suggesting that, well, they must have lowered the standards if women could get through this training. And he went through a litany. He said the 5-mile run is still 5 miles, the 12-mile march is still 12 miles, and anybody who thinks we've lowered the standards is welcome to come on down here and put on a rucksack and try it for themselves. They are adamant that there was no lowering of standards, and in fact, one of the women, Captain Grice, said yesterday no woman she knows would want to come to Ranger School if they lowered the standards for women.
David, I know you were there at the news conference yesterday where these 2 women spoke publicly, as did some of their male classmates. I'm just wondering what struck you about that. You were in the room, you were able to watch them, you were able to watch the interaction between the 2 of them, but also the male classmates that were there.
Well, 2 things struck me. One is these are not physically imposing women. They're not particularly big. They were all smaller and slighter than the males. So it's not just raw physical brawn that gets you through this course. And the the second thing that struck me is that the best advertisement for the women was what the men said. The men all said that they had been skeptical to begin with, that a woman could hack it. And then they all started telling stories about how the women had bailed them out. The hardest part of this course is just carrying these loads hour after hour with so little sleep and so little food. And the person that gets stuck with carrying the heavy weapon, the machine gun, has an extra 20 pounds to carry, and that's just can be a breaker for these guys. And two of the male rangers told stories about turning around to the rest of their squad and saying, won't somebody please take this weapon from me for a while, because I can't go on. And he looked around, and the men in the squad said, sorry, dude, I'm too tired, I'm too broken. And in each case, the women stepped forward and shouldered the heavy weapons.
Just remarkable displays. As you said, it's not just physical brawn that gets you through this absolutely...
It's mental toughness. It's mental toughness that gets you through.
Yeah. David, very quickly before we go, we have to get going here, but did you ever think, in all your years of covering the military, that you would ever see this day where not one but two women would be graduating from Army Ranger School?
It's a generational thing, and I think the role of women in the military is the single biggest change that I've seen in the 30 years that I've been covering the military. It used to be that if you saw a female general in the halls of the Pentagon, you would do a double take. Now you walk by them without even noticing, because it's such a common thing. You could just see this coming. And so the military is a reflection of society, and it may not get there as quickly as society sometimes, but sooner or later it becomes a reflection of society. And as the role of women changes in society, the role of women is changing in the military.
All right. Our CBS News Pentagon correspondent, national security correspondent David Martin, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Sure thing.